Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thing I Love Most show. My name's Nolh Varbon. Once again, we are joined via Skype, via the wonders of the World Wide Web. Hopefully, my Wi-Fi is going to work. It seems to be problematic, but fingers crossed it's okay. So we've got Mr. Leigh Curtin once again on the line. How are you going, Leigh?
Yeah, not bad, chaps. Not bad.
Good. And Matt from Spurs News. How are you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good.
Very good. So thanks for listening and watching once again, everybody. So we believe this is going to be a YouTube show as well, even though this obviously isn't filmed in the pub. But we will always film and record a podcast every week, so you'll still be able to hear dulcet tones on the way to work or wherever you listen to. I keep on meeting people when I go to games now. They're like, "Oh yeah, I was listening to you the other day." It's quite weird. And we also had the offer of our first sponsor the other day when in the pub. Someone wants to sponsor the show, which is great. So if you are interested, then give us an email or get in touch on any of the usual channels.
You actually, you are becoming famous now, because when I sat at my new season ticket where I sit, the guy next to me knows you from the show. So you're becoming a little bit well known in the.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough of that. We'll stop right there now. We are obviously going to discuss the last few games that we haven't had a proper catch up regarding. I did a little video from the Legends game, but we haven't had a sort of chat about it, as it were. So let's start there. Let's cast our minds back. Obviously, it was an amazing occasion. The scoreline was irrelevant. It was great that we were able to properly test the stadium before we had the actual grand opening, as it were. But it was just really funny to see some of the old players again. Klinsmann was still looking quite decent shape. I mean, we were trying to work out how old he was. And then Berbatov looked okay. Keane and Berbatov playing together was really nice. I thought that was a nice touch. Obviously, Gaza getting the biggest ovation of the night was brilliant and well deserved, even though he did come on for like about 3 minutes. But that was great. And then some surprising, like Naeem. It took me about half an hour to work out who Naeem was. He looked just like this swollen, like sort of narcos dude. It was amazing, like a little moustache. Like he was brilliant, but he still had some techers. He was like still had that control and that pass. It was great to see. And probably David Howes, I thought, was the fittest out of them and played, I think, the whole game. One of only sort of 2 or 3 players to play the whole game. So it was really good to see. What were your highlights of going, Matt? I think that was the first time that you took your boy, was it? Or
yeah, I took my boy to the Southampton one, the first test event. But this I went by myself for this one. But it was a fantastic evening. It really was. And like you say, the result was kind of irrelevant, wasn't it? It was just the experience. But one player I was going to talk about that you've mentioned is Naeem, and he looked. I know you were saying about how out of shape he looked. He reminded me of that Charlie in the chocolate factory when that little girl eats that blueberry and she turns into a big blueberry with his little legs sticking out, and that was him. But he was fantastic. I genuinely like at the weekend. I mean, last weekend he could have played. Do you know what I mean? He seems oddly for his shape to be quite in kind of good shape, good fit form, and he was one of the best players for us. But yeah, like you say, Klinsmann was played well and surprising. I mean, I was the same, trying to look up his age, and he must be late 50s now, wasn't he? And he did get a boo, didn't he, when he turned up the second half for Inter Milan. But for me, the highlight was Keane's goal and the celebration. It was great to see that celebration again.
It was. What about yourself, Leigh? Who would you most enjoy seeing there?
I think as you say, the couple of surprising things was David Howes. His fitness was it was unreal. Like he literally just got through the game and he's like still making these like big lung busting runs to the edge of the 18-yard box, like it was a proper full on match. You kind of sit there going, "No, don't do that, mate. You won't get back." But he actually had a bit of an engine on him. I think Keane's goal again was, as Matt says, was that was kind of topped it off for a lot of fans. I think just seeing that again, just seeing that's typical Keane, and then with the celebration as well. So it was a fun day and even a little bit of spice. I can't remember who it was. One of them got a boot to the head, didn't he, with blood pouring out of his head, and he was going absolutely mental, wasn't he? He's like, it's like Yeah, meant to be a friendly get together here. He was literally losing it. So No, it was good. It was good, and a good event. I think a good event. So it looked to be like a good day all round.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It was a shame that Klinsmann didn't get on the score sheet because we would have loved to have seen the dive. That would have been amazing. So many good memories with him, but it was really good to see him play. I saw a tweet from Chris Waddle said that he didn't even get an invite, which I was a little bit shocked at, seeing as he is, you know, in my eyes, one of the sort of like, you know, the 80s boys who was really, really a big player for us. So that surprised me a little bit. And, you know, and especially as they have used the Legends term quite loosely when they have, you know, Bassong and Stalteri, who you wouldn't have necessarily put in the Tottenham Hall of Fame. So a bit interesting, I thought, with that choice. What were your thoughts?
I was upset. I was upset about Waddle not being there. He was. I think we spoke on one of the first shows I did, and he was one of my favourite players growing up. I loved watching Chris Waddle. I'm very, very surprised that he wasn't involved. Obviously, Hoddle for health reasons, I'd imagine. Yeah, you know, if you're going to use the word legends, I'd expect to see your Hoddles and your Waddles involved in some way, and not so much your Stelteris and your Bassongs. So it'd be interesting to see or find out how they went about, you know, who they picked to invite.
Probably more availability and age. I think they had to have an age range, didn't they? Because obviously Bassong still looked like he was playing, but I don't even know if he still plays. So,
he does.
Yeah, so there you go. So you know, they would have had some people if they just had 15 like Andertons, then we would have struggled because he was looking like, and Tanyo looked like he's forgotten a bit of timber. They're obviously feeding him well. So, but yeah, it was an interesting one about Waddle, but yeah, all in all, obviously a fantastic occasion for people that hadn't seen the stadium before, and to get a good crowd in was fantastic. The next day, weirdly, having the Liverpool game, because we were so up for that test event to be there to see the Legends, to obviously experience it with 45,000 other fans was fantastic. And throughout that week, people almost forgot about the league game. It was really weird. It was like, oh, we've got Liverpool tomorrow. Obviously, if you went to the game, it was slightly different. But and so yeah, we obviously need to talk about the game. It was a game of two halves. I think we can agree. But more frustratingly than anything else, the most that we talk about on this show is mistakes. And we've obviously mentioned Lloris before, but we do find that when you are in these big games, whether it is in the Champions League or whether it is against the top six rivals, you have to cut them out, or else we are not going to progress. And that just seems to be something that is creeping into our game. And I'm not saying it's always Lloris, because it's not. But there were elements to that first goal that could have been a slightly, more difficult situation for Robertson to cross the ball if Trippier came out. And I think, Lee, remember when we were speaking about the other day, when we went to the game against Palace, that you were mentioning something else about the early part of that goal.
Liverpool's first one?
Yeah, Liverpool's first one, yeah.
I'm trying to cast my mind back now because it feels like so long ago.
I think it was just a case of the sort of the pass that could have been potentially cut down, and it was just a case of it obviously when you do cross it in there, then that's fair enough, and it was a good cross and it was a good header, so there was no disagreements on that front. But I think Trippier could have maybe closed better, and I think early on in the move there was something which you weren't happy with. I
think it was the pass selection just further up the pitch. We always seem to try and force a pass. Sometimes we always look to go Hollywood, and we're at our best when we play the shorter stuff. When we're just moving the ball around 7-8 yards, and working it side to side. We're at our best then when we're playing into the middle. And all too often Trips tries to just force one. And we're so slow doing it. And when we gave away that possession, it was a hell of a cross. But we were saying there with three centre-backs, he's got in between three of them and had a free header. So, it just goes to show you how unset we wasn't even set properly. The three guys at the back weren't even in a good shape, and again that highlights the fact that we gave the ball away. And we gave Liverpool the chances. Again we're going to sit here and we're going to go, what did they do to earn that victory? What did they do to earn those goals? Or do we have to look at ourselves and go, did we just hand them 2 more goals again? Because that's pretty much what we've done. First of all, in the build-up, then in the failure to mark, and then we'll get on to the third one, the second goal, the third goal of the game. We're sure we'll get onto that in a bit. But it could have been prevented, the first one, for sure.
So that was the Legends game. It's quite weird to have the Legends game on the Saturday and then have the Liverpool game on the Sundays, because the whole week was sort of like just sort of waiting for the Legends game, and we'd almost forgotten about the league game, which was quite strange. Obviously, if you're going up there, it's slightly different, but it was a massive game for us, and once again one that we could have done a lot better out of, I think, is the very bad grammar way of saying that. I think it was just another one of those frustrating situations where we know, and we've spoken about this far too many times in the show, that the key to these games is to obviously keeping it tight and not giving mistakes away. You can't do that at this level. You can't do that at Champions League. You can't do it against the top 6 teams. Obviously, if you do it against a lower league team, then you might have a chance to get back in the game. But these games are crucial. And when you're playing them, you have to make sure that those mistakes are cut out. And once again, obviously the Lloris one we'll talk about in a bit, but even Trippier going out to Mark Robertson on that first goal, he was a little bit worried about Mane. That shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't have been given that space. And it was just incredibly frustrating. So if we look back at the game, and if we talk firstly about the lineup and formation, we were discussing it obviously on the last show, and we predicted, or we thought we might go as centre-backs. Rodney said he preferred back 4, and then strangely that's when they did start to do better in the second half, was when they did make that change. So were you surprised by the lineup, and were you happy or sad when it did eventually change, Lee?
I thought the lineup was okay. I looked at it and I was confident with it. I thought that's a point at minimum. I looked at that, and I thought even if we turned up and everyone performed, we'd put them in a game. They've got pace, and if we're going to play free, you're going to need Bassong. We're going to need Bassong. God, it wasn't that good in the Legends game. You're going to need Sanchez at the back for his pace, and then the kind of cooler heads of Toby and Jan. So I got it. I totally got it. However, I don't think when we went out to play, the players got it. They seemed a bit all over the place. And that's probably about the 3rd or 4th time this season they've done that. They've gone out there. We've looked at them in certain games and they've played 3 at the back and they've been absolutely amazing. And you're like, superb. That suits us. That's what we need to do. And then we'll go out and do it another game and they look like they don't know, or they're unsure about what they're meant to be doing. And I find that really, really strange. So it's very clear that sometimes the opposition dictate how some of these boys are going to turn up. And I thought Firmino was the difference, to be honest with you. I think, they couldn't live with his movement. His movement was too clever for them. And that ultimately showed in the first goal because he got in between 3 of them. And he got in between 3 of them comfortably. There was nobody near him. So you've got to play 3 at the back. You've got to be tighter. You've got to be communicating. One of you has to take responsibility for the man. And it's all very well one of you taking responsibility, then the other one has to be sweeping behind as security. They didn't do that. They was caught flat. I mean, we gave the ball away higher up the pitch. And then obviously Robinson broke off down the left and Trips was kind of caught in no man's land. And it was a hell of a delivery, hell of a cross. But Firmino sneaked in between 3 players there, and that shouldn't have happened. So going back to 4, I see it looked kind of the most logical thing to do.
And we do sometimes obviously criticise Poch when tactics don't go his way, or when he is late to change, or when he doesn't deliver. But that was quite a good example, I thought, of him realising that it hasn't necessarily gone his way, making that change and then dominating the second half. Obviously, the result in the end was, not what we wanted, but there was still, in a big game, a decision tactically which worked, and Klopp really didn't even have the answer, Matt.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, when you look at the game to start with, I mean, like you say, at the last show we was discussing whether to play, 3 centre backs or the 2 centre backs. But like Leigh was saying, we're used to playing with just the 2, aren't we? So it's not that often we play with the 3 centre backs. And I guess it was dictated to us. I guess like the point you were making, it was dictated to us because of Liverpool's strong attack. That you look at those 3, didn't you? Salah, Mane, and Firmino, and all 3 of them scared the life out of most defences, didn't they? But in a way, you kind of hope that Poch could have gone with just the 2 centre backs from the start, and almost because I don't know, it's almost like it kind of. By playing those 3, you're defending against them, I guess, but you should be saying, right, no, let's them defend against us. Go out let's match them toe to toe, and it put them on the front foot from the start. But like you say, in the second half when he changed it did change the game, and obviously the disaster at the end. We could have won that. I mean, when we scored the equaliser, I thought we got a chance here. I really did, and it was a sickener the way the goal went in, and it was a sickener the fact that. We come away with nothing when really, I mean, from the equaliser onwards, I could see us getting 3 points. I really could.
Well, we had the chances to do so. I thought Moura played quite well. It was nice to see him getting another goal and when he started having a decent impact. I think, obviously the whole Sissoko chance, that was just, it was a combination of everything really. It was one of the most frustrating things I've seen in a long time. But I just felt for him because it was like he didn't really know what he was doing. He definitely didn't want to be there. And then when he actually went for it, when he swung his left foot, it was just like, oh, just no. But it was one of those things. It was so frustrating. Van Dijk did well, and all the pundits have spoken about it. Van Dijk did pretty much cut off the pass to Son. So either of Sissoko should have taken him even more wide to then create a bit more space to make that pass, or he could try to sit it in to go around him. But it was good defending from Van Dijk to force Sissoko onto his left foot. But even so, from that distance on a left foot, you have to be hitting the target, and to do that, it was a crazy situation.
You find with Sissoko. Sorry, no, you find with Sissoko and. Obviously in the last 6 months, he's massively improved, hasn't he? But the one thing you find with him, he gets himself in these positions and he makes the runs. He gets there, but he literally doesn't know what to do when he gets there, does he? It's just like, look, he's not going to, he's improved massively, but I can't see Sissoko suddenly becoming, kind of a Kane when it comes to the shooting on target. But yeah, it's a sickener, and the more you watch it, the more you think, oh, come on, mate, at least on target, Yeah.
It was,
don't watch it. Don't watch it again. Don't watch it again. The funny thing is, when you talk about those, if you cast your mind back, like when it happened, when we broke, I was like, oh, here we go, we're away. And then I looked up and goes, no, it's Sissoko. And I literally just kind of sat back because and it's really bad because it's my team. And at the time, I was urging him to put it, like I wanted to see it nestle in the net. And I just knew it wasn't. And I think you look back a few weeks ago and you got Sonny running from his own half against Leicester, and that's going to end up in the back of it. There was never a doubt. Like from his own half, it was always going to end up in the back of it. And then you see Mo going on this run, and like Nolh laughs, but I say it all the time. I don't want Mo to do anything but just run with the ball.
Yeah.
Run, make sure the net stops him. Or open the gate and let him run out. Had he just kept running with the ball, he would have run through them. He would have run through the keeper. He would have run through
bulldozing.
Just bulldoze and run it straight into the net like a computer game from the 80s. Just run it straight. Don't pass it. Don't kick it. Just keep running with the ball, Mo, because that's what you do best. You can't pass it. You can't kick it. Run with the ball. And I just, watching it just sail over the bar and not even hitting Alisson in the face or anything. I just like, don't watch it back is my message to any listeners.
Okay, I don't think they will. But things didn't really improve on that front, and in fact, they actually got a bit worse when, obviously, in the 90th minute, we did concede the equaliser. Now, we have probably, called for Lloris to be swapped before this obviously happened, because there does seem to be creeping into his game these mistakes, and it sometimes is the kicking, it sometimes is decision making, it's sometimes a rush of blood to the head, but this was just a classic goalkeeping error, similar to that of like the whole Karius or Mignolet might have done at Anfield for tens of times or something, which is why they went out and they spent 70 million on Alisson, who I also don't even think is that great, but it's incredibly frustrating. And then obviously Poch has come out afterwards, because there was Genius on Match of the Day 2 was saying that it's time for Gazzaniga to step up, and it's been too many times that Lloris has done it. So it seems to be a strange situation. I don't know if Poch is covering it because he is the captain or what it is, but he just seems to pass it off a little bit too frivolent for me. At the end of the day, yes, Lloris has saved us on many occasions, but that is his job to save us. But when you are costing your team points, as 100% has happened this season quite a few times, then there has to surely be a point where other options are looked at. And obviously before we had Vorm, who I don't think is much of a challenge, but Gazzaniga, when he has been called upon, has been really, really strong. His kicking is far, far better. I mean, the kick that he did for Chelsea against Chelsea in the cup when he put in Moura, that was unbelievable. Like, he has that in his locker. So let's just rule out the saving for the moment, but the kicking, he's obviously much better. So then when it comes down to handling and shot stopping, he's also up there. Reaction wise, Lloris is probably better, but that's not just all there is. So when does that opportunity for Gazzaniga come? And is it going to come this season, Matt, do you think?
It's a really difficult one for me, because all season, when especially towards the beginning of the season, when Gazzaniga had a couple of games and suddenly it was all like, let's Gazzaniga's number one. It was, to me, it was ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, why are we even talking about Gazzaniga taking over Lloris? But because of Lloris's mistakes that are creeping in, I'm now swaying. I genuinely am now swaying towards Gazzaniga. I mean, I don't know if you guys have had thoughts about Lloris and why this is creeping into his game, but for me, I think part of it is the fact that, look, the guy won the World Cup in the last summer as captain, and I think for a football player that is the pinnacle, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing bigger than that, is there? Winning the World Cup, and I worry that he's done that. He's now won the World Cup, and it's almost like he's like not so much switched off, but like, I guess, like, when you've achieved the biggest thing there is to achieve in football, you kind of like, your motivation's going to go down, isn't it? And that's, for me, that's how it seems. Like, I don't think he's a worse goalkeeper. He just doesn't seem to be focused and motivated like he was before. And with Gazzaniga, like you say, his distribution is definitely better than Lloris's, 100%. There's no question. Maybe shot stopping is not as much, but then obviously he's being worked on by the goalkeeping coaches, isn't he? And he has improved as a goalkeeper. So yeah, I mean, if Lloris is going to carry on like he is, then I say give him a chance, But then it knocks Lloris's confidence, isn't it? If you do that, then there's no going back, is there?
Well, no, I don't think that. I think, if a player is out of form and if the player is costing your team, then you do give another player a chance. And if Gazzaniga then, lets in the howler, then Lloris gets his chance again. That's how it works. That's why you have a good squad, and obviously goalkeepers are slightly different. And there normally is like a number one, and the number two will only really come in if there is an injury or, a cup game, for example. But I still think that's the reason why they have a good number two, is for the opportunity to come in and step up and prove themselves. And he's every time he's done that, he's been great. And so why not? Like, and don't have to wait until another mistake, which has cost us another 3 points, which is inevitable. And I'm pretty sure will happen this season. And I don't like saying that, but why wait till then? I just think it's crazy. No, I really do. I just think it has. And, people say, oh, he had a great game in Borussia Dortmund. He did make some saves, but none of them are crazy, amazing saves. The two best things about that defensive display were the Vertonghen challenge and the Davies challenge. They were much better defending than Lloris's saves. And I know, obviously, because we won the game and we kept a clean sheet, it might have been looked upon slightly differently. But I didn't think his performance was unbelievable, like a De Gea at the Emirates that year. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't crazy. And so I think just give him a chance. I don't know. I don't think he will. And you've said before on the show, Lee, that you think maybe at the end of the season he might make the change, but he won't do it mid-season. No,
I don't think so. I think it was all part. I think a lot of it's due to him being captain, being part of the senior kind of senior part of the squad, along with your Jans and your Tobys. I think they're very integral to that squad staying together to get us into the new stadium. And I think he just didn't want to upset that, because we were homeless. We've got a lot of contract talks going on at the time. And I think by then dropping Hugo at the time, it would have added unnecessarily to what, to the rest of the nonsense that's going on. So we're in the new home now. And part one is done. Part two is qualifying for the Champions League. And then I think we start next season, and I don't think Hugo will be the first choice in the start of the 11 come next August. I don't think he deserves to be, if we're going to be brutally honest. I think Gazzaniga deserves his chance, and like you say, he's not let us down yet. And if he makes an error, well, do you know what? He probably deserves he deserves a second chance and a third chance by given what we've done for Hugo. And just quickly on Matt's point, I don't think it's a case of he's achieved everything. You've got Mbappe running around at 19, 30 plus goals this season, won the World Cup, that's about to smash up a league in France and wherever. He's got a whole career ahead of him, along with players like Pogba and stuff. So I don't think it's a case of that, but he certainly looks to me like somebody who's carrying a burden or an issue, something non-football related behind the scenes. He's not the same Hugo as pre-World Cup.
No. You can tell he was shocked after that, obviously the conceding the goal, but even before that, if you look at his kicking before that, he put us in trouble a few times. And the goal, actually, their first goal came from a poor kick, I think, if I believe. So it's like, and that in itself, you don't need that. You don't want extra pressure on the defenders. And there's been so many times this season where obviously we do seem to be playing out of the back more. That's obviously come from Pochettino. That's not Lloris who's doing that. That's obviously a method. And, Barcelona do it very well. So it's not like it's a terrible thing to do. And obviously, if we are just playing one up front and, three centre-backs against Kane, it's stupid to just boot it up there. So I'm not saying that. But also, there's a time and the place to kick and just be a bit more clever about it. And for some reason, he seems to not be thinking correctly in those situations. And that's not like him. He used to be sweeper keeper. He used to come out and he used to be
he was the first. He was the first in the. He was like, here's Hugo Lloris, the sweeper keeper. And then a lot of the other teams have tried to copy that and went out and bought keepers who do something similar. So he was the first of his kind almost over here. So he definitely looks like he's carrying something, some kind of. I don't know if it's the whole drink driving thing. I don't know if it's something a bit more personal. But on the pitch, he's not as focused as you'd want him to be, and he's certainly not as focused as he was last season.
So we were able to properly go home last Wednesday as we had our first Premier League game against Crystal Palace. We had the opening ceremony, which was really, really, really good. Absolutely loved it. It looked amazing. The fireworks looked incredible. The crowd were just so buzzing for it. The noise was just fantastic. I just loved every minute of it. It was just like, it was so good. Myself and Lee were down there quite early on, so we had a little bit of a wander around and had a few beers in obviously the Blue Coats, which is our second home, and just was an amazing day. So before we talk about the day itself, the game itself, what were your thoughts on the opening ceremony and you seeing the whole stadium full with flags and lights and fireworks for the first time, Matt?
Do you know what? I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'll happily admit the tears are rolling. They were. I just was looking at it, and I don't know. Look, I know there's people will tell you football's not the most important thing in life, and I know it's not. But But look, I'm going to be 40 in a couple of weeks, and I've been supporting Spurs for 30 years, and going to so many games and going to White Hart Lane and just to see our home. And look, we got one of the best stadiums in the world, haven't we? Not just in this country, in the world. And I just felt so proud that my club, this is my stadium, and look where we are. This is our arena. They've done such a fantastic job of the stadium, and yeah, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They I don't know if you guys heard it because you're south, aren't you? And where I sit in the north stand, I'm literally just above the away fans, and they can be noisy, the Palace fans anyway. I think they're quite good actually. Even when they were 2-0 down, they were singing. But I don't know if you heard them singing "This Is the Emirates," and I was thinking, I'm surprised they're singing that because I thought it was a good atmosphere. I think we was nervous. I think because obviously that we've had like 4 defeats in the last 5 games, we're feeling a little bit nervous, aren't we? And that probably come across, but I felt like it was a cracking atmosphere. I
thought it dropped. There was definitely a drop after about 15 minutes. I think where we sort of like that the whole sort of like furore of the opening ceremony and the actual kickoff died down a little bit, and then we started to realise actually we need 3 points here. Then I think that was evident, and then when the crowd is nervous, then there's not that great atmosphere. So, but one thing I might mention about the atmosphere is that this whole microphone thing. Have you heard about this? In terms of there's like a talk or as a rumor that there's someone in the stands or the south stand, I think, with a microphone, and that's being blared through the speakers to enhance the atmosphere. I think did you mention that on the night, Lee?
I mentioned it to you, yeah.
Yeah, because there was something about it. There's an article running around on social media referring to it. So I think you must have been right. I think did you hear that? Did you hear something or?
So I haven't seen the article, no. So only because I mentioned it to you that night, because it's like when when the Spurs go marching in, and I was just like, this sounds really good. We bought 17,500 from a choir, I'd stuck them in the south stand. It's amazing. So the fans start singing, and then it's like somebody kind of just like gets on the mic. It was like the geezer from Go Compare jumped on the mic and joined in. It really was, and I was like, first time I thought I was hearing things, and then the second time all the arms went up, and everyone's singing when the Spurs go marching, and I could hear it again. I was like, oh yeah, and it just kind of it was off to our left, Nolh. So it's like it wasn't quite. But
if it's off to our left, it's not going to be a guy with a megaphone. Obviously, it's off to your left because there must be a speaker there close to us where we are. But so obviously, listeners and viewers of the show, please do let us know if you've heard it. If you've heard about it, if you were sat next to a guy with a mic, big opera guy, because I am intrigued. I know. There's they normally sort of reverberate the sound. There will be speakers around that will sort of replay it. But I haven't heard of that actually, having someone there specifically to sing. But I mean the sounds were incredible. Like when we were singing those songs. That was spine tingling. Yeah. And pretty much everyone in the south stand stood up the whole game, which I was surprised at. Well, I think a few of them sat down to the beginning of the second half, but then after Son scored, then everyone stood up, and again it was just the whole stand. And I think apparently there were quite a few arguments about that because obviously quite a few people. It's not that there is a safe standing section, but behind that. There are obviously people that have got their little ones with them. So if you have got a big dude stood in front of you, then, that might not be the done thing. And so that obviously wasn't something that was necessarily going to happen. So I think it'll be interesting to see if that does carry on. Obviously, the atmosphere was bigger because of the nature of the game and the fact it was the first game and we needed to win. So I think probably Man City will be similar. But I'd be interested to see against Huddersfield if there was as many people standing up as there were. So again, people in the South Stand, let us know your thoughts, let us know your experiences. We'll obviously mention you on the show as well. So you can get in touch with us on Twitter, TTILM Show, Instagram, TTILM Show, and Facebook, The Thing I Love Most Show, and the same on YouTube. So then the game itself, I mean, we dominated pretty much, didn't we? We didn't have a shot. We didn't concede a shot on target until I started talking about it about 3 minutes to go in the second half. And I was like, what have I done? And as soon as I said it, I think it was Zaha had a shot and it was saved well by Lloris. But it was one of those games, as I think the Huddersfield game will be, and probably the Brighton game as well, in terms of we're going to dominate, and it's just all about just basically being a little bit cleverer in the final third and not being afraid to shoot, as Danny Rose obviously was in that first half when he was put in, and he somehow thought it was a better idea to square it to Kane when the goal was gaping, and he could have been that first goal scorer. I mean, what happened there, Lee? How can you not shoot?
Well, I don't. Well, I stood next to you, and I just couldn't work out it was still 0-0 as well, by the way. So, you started to think that where's this goal coming? Because we started. I think we looked very nervous. I think the whole occasion, the players were very keen to impress. They wanted to get off to a good start. But then we kind of commented, didn't we? Really, I think when we did have a few half chances, it seemed to be. The memo went round the change room, give the ball to Harry for the first goal. So, yeah, it just at that point we needed the goal. We needed the crowd needed the goal. I think the team needed the goal. And when it rolls across to Rose like that, and he's got when he hits one on that left foot, he can hit one, and you're just there screaming at him, and somehow he thought, yeah, I'm going to put it into Harry's path. And you know what? I think as somebody who's played the game as well, and those opportunities that is a once in a lifetime opportunity, because you can't reopen the stadium. You can't go and build another stadium again. That chance will never come again. And you bet your bottom dollar that he was sat at home that night and just thought, why didn't I hit it? Why didn't I hit it? Go down in history. He would have been gone down in Tottenham history if that nestled in the back of the net. But he gave that honour to Sonny. I don't know what he was thinking. Hit it, man. Hit it.
Matt, you were closer to that shot, obviously being in the North Stand. What did you think?
Oh, yeah, the same. Like, it was just the head in the hands moment, wasn't it? It's like, God. But you maybe, like you say, Lee, like maybe they're saying, like, give Kane the first goal. But it was just, the shot was on, wasn't it? The shot was on just to nestle it, wasn't it? But like you say, Sonny got the honour of the first goal, and cracking first goal, wasn't it? I know it took a deflection, but,
So we were being quite critical of Eriksen in the game, and then he actually turned up with a goal and assist statistically. And then if actually Moura had scored in the last minute with that good save by their keeper, then he would have had 2 assists because he was the one who actually put him in with a left foot pass. So frustrating, I think, is what we sort of can describe Eriksen as a moment as, because he has obviously got that ability to be our quarterback, the guy that obviously pulls the strings. But he just seems to be a little bit off. But then, like I said, he gets a golden assist, so we can't be too critical of him, can we?
Go on, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a funny one with Eriksen, isn't it? Because he like every season he has a little sort of off period, doesn't he, of a few games. It seems to have hit him every season, and there are big rumours that you're not going to sign his contract. Although I've heard there's another rumour now that he is going to sign it, and you wonder whether that's affecting his play, because he's not like, I know obviously, like you say, Nolh, he got the assist and the goal, but we're still, I don't think, seeing the Eriksen that we know he can see. He's not playing, and even against Palace, there was a few mistimed passes, weren't there? And he was frustrating at times. So
I think if you're thinking about something a lot, which he might be in terms of the leaving or not leaving, if he's making that decision in his head, if he's constantly, when he is playing, thinking, is this team good enough? Could I go to a better team? If he's having those sort of thoughts, then it might be affecting his game, and it's not just because I don't know, when you have something on the brain, when you are a little bit stressed in life, then your performances is normally affected. And that just might be as simple as that. Who knows what it is, but we should be expecting more from it. I totally agree. What do you think, Lee?
I mean, I was obviously, as you alluded to already, I was quite critical of him. But at the same time, you may remember, I did highlight the fact that he seemed aware. He seemed on Wednesday that he was aware that he wasn't putting decent passes into people's paths or giving people, the right pass, or it wasn't really coming off for him. He seemed aware of that, because the thing I said to you, Nolh, the first time I've actually seen with Eriksen this time around was he made up for it in terms of running and shutting people down. And that's how one of the goals came. He was grafting. Now, he's not known for his tackles, because he can't tackle, but he was shutting people down. He was getting in front of them. He was blocking. He's doing doggies. You know, he was literally doing doggies in between players. I've never seen him do that. I've never seen that. He's the kind of guy, once the ball goes past him, he kind of turns and just kind of looks around. I'm not saying he gives up, but he just kind of turns, looks around, see who else is stepping in to do the job. And on Wednesday, he's actually doing sideways doggies, backwards and front ways. And I was like, that's a side of his game I haven't seen. And I know players that when things ain't going their way, they make up for it with graft. You know, let me just go and I'm going to put 110% in here. I'm going to run a bit further. I'm going to run a bit harder. I'm going to just try, you know, make something happen. And that's how that interception came for the assist. So why his passing wasn't great, why he still fails to deliver a dead ball, why he's still not striking a clean ball. I think he's had like 4 efforts on goal before even the goal he scored, he scuffed it. You know, and let's not forget Mora's goal against Liverpool. Ericsson scuffed a shot. It wasn't a pass, he scuffed a shot. So he seems to be scuffing a lot of balls at the moment. But do you know what? He made up for it. He grafted. And I'll always say with a player, when it's not going your way, just put the effort in. Put the energy in, put the effort in. And he did that on Wednesday. And he got rewards for it. So hopefully it will go from here. Hopefully things start going his way and that's recognised.
And lovely for Son to get the goal. Obviously, it would have been nice for Kane to do it, being the local hero, as it were. But still, you know, Son has become a cult hero for us, and he's been amazing this season, and I'm sure some people's player of the season, in fact. So for him to get the goal and being such a happy personality around the club, it was really, really amazing to see.
I love seeing his celebration as well, because I think there's a gif of his celebration, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a professional lip reader, but you can see he says the word boom as he does it. He sort of just slides and goes boom, doesn't he? It's just brilliant celebration. Like look, I would have loved to have seen Kane score the opening one, but failing that, Sonny, and I'm glad Sonny got it. Yeah.
No, it was a special occasion. So, and obviously, just to finish it off, it was so Ericsson that sets up Son, and then obviously Ericsson got the goal himself after Kane ran on, and Lee thought he should have had a penalty. I didn't think it was a penalty, but you know, we were not just here to talk about that.
Do you know we was where we was, because obviously, like, you know, when you're in the, because we were in the north, and it's quite difficult, isn't it, to sort of make out what's going on at the other end of the pitch. And we was all screaming penalty. We was all going penalty. We didn't realise that we'd scored, and so like suddenly we're this ripple of celebration. We're like, what's going on? We got a penalty. We scored a goal.
It was a terrible celebration. I completely agree. Well, everyone was sort of like looked to each other. It was just like, oh, okay,
I think we
yay! It was really weird. It was really weird.
I think loads of people actually missed the goal. Yeah, you know, there was 59,000 people there, and I think 58,000 missed the goal because they was all looking at the referee going, "Well, is that a penalty or not a penalty?" Exactly. Next minute, the ball's in the net, and the referee's like, "It's not a penalty, but you have scored." Like, oh right, yeah,
yay!
It was so bizarre. It was a bizarre celebration, but no, again, you know, job done, and I know we'll very quickly, because when we done the Liverpool game, he gave him a little mention, but I thought Sissoko was absolutely immense.
Yeah,
he was absolutely immense. His man of the match by far. I know they gave it to Son, but generally you score a goal, you get man of the match with a lot of pundits. But he was unbelievable, and I thought Ali, again, another very, very mature performance. Moved around a little bit from deeper midfield and then up, and we looked more dangerous when he was further up the pitch anyway.
Definitely, and I think we did mention it on the day, but I think just Winks coming on for that short period of time that he did, that almost changed the game. I think we just looked a little bit more in control, and I think he obviously oozes confidence now as a player. He's just so confident, and that just seems to transcend to the team. And they push further up because they know the ball is going to come to him. And I know there's people that still say on social media that he still passes it sideways, but he really doesn't. Only if he needs to. Like, he will do a bit of one touch, but more often than not, if he's in space or if he sees space, he will drive into it or he will pass into it. And he's changed massively this season. And he's been a real miss, you know, for this rubbish run that we've been on. It's 100% not a coincidence that Winks has not been in the team during that time, because when you need to get hold of the ball and when you need to drive a team forward, he is the one at the moment in that team that does it. So great that he's back for the run-in. Great that he's back for Tuesday. because I think he's going to be key. So, it was really, really good to see. And Wan-Bissaka, I thought, actually had an amazing game. Really, really impressive. And that's the first time I've seen him live properly or sort of noticed him, as it were. And he's definitely one for the future. And I think he could definitely be one that we could try and snip off Palace. I know they're not massively in great relations with us at the moment, but I think he does look like one for the future. So maybe either him or Doherty from Wolves when Chips and Aurier get kicked to the curb.
Yeah, I think he enjoyed his trial. He looked like he loved it. He had a good look around. Well, there it was, wasn't it? Have a look around, son. This is me next season. Enjoy.
Listen, Lee, we got Daniel Levy as chairman, mate. Don't get too excited.
Time now to talk about a big match on Tuesday. Oh, my word. So excited about this one. It's going to be incredible. It really, really is. If we thought the atmosphere was good the other night, then this, I think, is going to be 10 times better. It's going to be mental. So if there is one person with a microphone, hopefully there's more than one, and they're not even going to need them. So it's going to be amazing. The first leg of the quarterfinal against Manchester City in the Champions League, it's just going to be so tense. And I suppose it's less tense maybe because obviously there are two legs, but obviously the fact the second leg is up there, we really do need to put in a performance. And I really think we are. And my worry and my concern, obviously, is the mistakes thing. And we opened the show talking about it when we talk about the Liverpool game. We mentioned it before. It happened in the Barcelona game. It's so key that if we get a clean sheet, that would be incredible. So this is recorded on Sunday evening today. They obviously just scraped a 1-0 against Brighton. I didn't think they looked amazing. Aguero didn't play. I don't know what the rumour is about Tuesday. He's probably going to come back just to annoy us, but it would be good if he wasn't playing. It would give us a little bit of a boost, but they have got players obviously that can come in and hurt us. But they didn't look amazing against Brighton. So, we've got to be confident as always with these games. We have the squad to hurt anyone. We have the players that can score against anyone, and I 100% think we're going to score. So then it just comes down to the other end of the pitch, and if we can have a blinder in defence, like we did in Dortmund, if we can have that sort of game, then I don't see why we can't win 1-0 and go up there with a victory, and then who knows what's going to happen. We might get stuffed 5-1, but, at least we've given ourselves a chance. So, but also I think, if we do keep a clean sheet, and then we go up there, I also predict that we will score up there. So that will almost mean that they've got to score 3. So, maybe I'm just being crazy positive, I know some people on social media think I'm a whinger, but I'm trying to be positive here. So Matt, first, what do you think? Well, obviously we're going to talk about predictions in a bit, but how do you think the game's going to go, and how do you think we're going to approach the game? Are we going to be cagey? Because quite a lot of the time in these Champions League games against the big teams like the Real Madrid, the Dortmunds, the Barças, we sometimes have set back. Barcelona, obviously at Wembley, we couldn't sit back for long because they scored after about 3 minutes with Coutinho. So that game was a little bit different. But in general, they do seem to be maybe sitting back a little bit. So how do you think the game's going to go?
Yeah, obviously against the big clubs, it's almost like we give them too much respect sometimes. But look, Man City, they're probably, I know we've had this discussion before, but Man City are probably the only team, and I say in the Premier League, because although it's a Champions League game, obviously we're playing against Premier League opposition, they're the only ones I kind of play and think, or go into a game and think this is going to be tough, because they are such a strong squad. But at the same time, like you say, if we're on form, if we're playing well, and I think we can match them toe to toe. I really think we can, and you talk about a 1-0 win. I don't want to be over positive because we obviously know it's going to be a tough game. But for me, I think we need to aim for more than that. I don't think 1-0 is going to be enough for me going to their ground. So I don't think it's beyond all impossibility to get a decent result against them. I mean, look, you go back 2-3 years ago. When they had Guardiola in charge, we stuffed them 4-1, didn't we, at White Hart Lane? We're capable of beating that Man City. And I know they have got stronger in the last couple of years, but I still feel like on the night, at the new stadium, under the lights, with the atmosphere, with the crowd, I think we're capable of getting a massive result there. I really do.
It's good. It's feeling positive.
Yeah, I do. I feel positive.
All right, Lee, then come on then. Bring it down.
Bring it down.
Bring the tone down.
So
We'll be lucky to get a draw.
I get the whole positivity. I get it now. You know, we're home, so there's no more talk about stadium nonsense, and we're at the business end of the season. We got 6 league games, and we've got this. In theory, we call it a cup final, right? So we approach this game, and I think we will be. I think we'll start the game with the team very similar to the way we finished. So I think you'll see Winks out there. I think you'll see Dele further up the pitch. I think we'll see Ericsson and Sonny out there. And City are now starting to look a little bit nervous. And they've just got quality against these teams, the Brightons of the world. And I know they took Cardiff apart in here, but they weren't overly convincing the other night. I've seen a couple of their games, and they're not on fire. You know, they're not zipping that ball around in their movement. So, you know, some of their players are not. They're not on. You know, they're off the boil at the moment. De Bruyne is still looking for a bit of form. Walker's showing a bit of the Kyle Walker that some of the Spurs fans know, and they'll have a bit of cash in on 50 mils worth. You know, they're starting to look a bit. Some of them are starting to look a bit nervous, and you can't blame them. It's a long season for them. They're trying to go on all 4 fronts, and three more fronts now, because we've got one in the bag. But I'm looking at it thinking, I think there'll only be a goal in it, unfortunately, if I'm going to be a bit of a realist. I was thinking 2-1. I think we beat them 2-1 on Tuesday night, and I think it's going to be electric in there. I think the fans have got a big part to play. They've done all the hello, mate. My name's Dave. You John? Yeah, sweet. I'll be sitting next to you all season. Yeah, great. Nice. Okay. Don't mind if I sing, do you? No, you crack on. Well, all right with that. You know, there was a lot of that on Wednesday night. Everyone's not too sure if I should sing next to this geezer. Yeah, no, you better sing, mate. The South Stand. You better sing. So I think there'll be a lot more.
You want to go on this microphone?
Yeah, your mic. I think the atmosphere will be amazing. You know, so the crowd have their part to play, and I think we'll give them a hell of a game. And Pep, when Pep talks about us, he genuinely has a little bit of a fear of Tottenham. He likes the way we play. He knows we pose a threat, and he knows Poch almost has his number. You know, he just can't quite get there sometimes, because we'll do all the hard work on the training ground, and then we'll gift somebody a present very early on in the game. So I'm with you, Nolh. Cut out the crap. Don't give away no freebies. Make them work for it. And I think we do them. I think we beat them. And then we go there. We go there, and it's a shootout. It's a 90-minute shootout, and I think that's got to be the way to approach it.
Oh, I'm getting a bit scared now with all this positivity. I'm not used to it. It's weird. Oh, and I'm also getting nervous about the game, just because it's such a big game. So, okay, so you're going 2-1. Lee, okay, Matt, what's your score prediction going to be?
I'm going 3-1.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I can't take it. Okay, all right. Well, I would love to get a 1-0, but I just can't see it myself. And I also, you know, those of you that's seen the show before, I have got 2-1 to it, so I'm going to say 2-1 us. And I can't wait for the game. So yeah, fingers crossed it's going to be as good as we hoped it's going to be, and that we do go away from the tie with at least a 1-goal lead. So the league returns on Saturday. We've got a 12:30 kickoff at our new stadium, which is still nameless, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Are we going to call it White Hart Lane? Do we just call it White Hart Lane? What's the crack? What do we refer to it as?
White Hart Lane.
He's the lane.
Okay, good. Well, that was quick. Yeah, thanks. I'm just intrigued, because even though they're saying obviously that there might still be naming rights, so we still refer to it as White Hart Lane.
Yeah. Absolutely. I didn't feel like I was anywhere different.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, you know, same journey, you know, same trip, you know, same place. So to me, it's like
they have managed to keep a good feel about White Hart, and obviously as we've spoken about before, the whole close proximity thing. It does have a feel of White Hart Lane about it. So, which obviously is great. So we should still call it whatever we want to call it. But I'm sure those naming rights will come because that's quite a big chunk of the cost of the stadium. So, we shall see. So we are going to be back at the new White Hart Lane on Saturday. So let's talk about the game. So obviously Huddersfield are already relegated. Is this the kind of game where normally they would have just like 10 men behind the ball and we struggle to break them down and we're just going to scrape one in the last minute, or are we going to completely annihilate them and it's going to be another 5-0? What kind of game are we going to have, Matt?
Well, I mean, are they? They're down, aren't they? They're relegated, so. Yeah. They don't. I mean, hopefully they'll just come in and give us a game of football, and if they do, obviously we'll wallop them. But I don't see the motivation for them to just play for a draw, because it doesn't make any difference to them anymore, does it?
The manager also has to sort of prove himself now, doesn't he, as well? So makes sense, yeah. Leigh, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I mean they whether I'm just trying to think the last few games we played, whether being home or away. They've always kind of just once they tried to match us. The first game, first time up in the Prem, they tried to match us and they got a very, very harsh footballing lesson. And ever since then, they've always then sat back and stuck 10 behind the ball. So I'm thinking if Nolh gives us a nod. You there, Nolh? All right, you're back. You're back. God. Listen, I think they'll always stick 10 behind the ball, and they'll just go for the out ball with one person up top, just trying to chase it down. I'm with you, Matt. I'm hoping that they try and give us a game of football, and they will get they'll get a bit of a hiding. So I think we'll beat them. I'm hoping we beat them comfortably. I'm hoping that we give them the first thumping in the new stadium, and let's not kind of get away from the fact that we can't mess about. We still need those 3 points. It is a business end of the season. We've got 6 games, 1 against City, and the other 5 should be winnable as we look at it. So we've got to make sure that we are doing the job. And you know what? God forbid, if it ends up us just taking a 1-0, then so be it. The 3 points are hugely important for all that's going on around us. We should do a job on them. We'll break them down. Let's hope, like you say, Nolh, their manager wants them to play because he wants him. He fancies proving himself. He wants the job. So we'll take him apart.
What are you going for prediction-wise, then?
I think the team will change a little bit as well because it's sandwiched between the City games. So I'm going to go for 3-0.
Okay, all right. Matthew?
Yeah, without wanting to sound like, just going on with Leigh, but I was going to say 3-0. I feel like we're going to score a few. I can't see us conceding. I can't, and it'd be, I get like we say, they're going to probably, although we'd like them to come and give us a game, they probably are going to play with the 10 men behind the ball, and I think we'll get the goal, and then they'll have to come out and play, and then we'll just stick a couple more in. I can see it being 3-0.
I'm torn between 2-0 and 4-0, and I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go for look in the middle. I think there may be a bit of a Champions League hangover, so I'm not sure if we will necessarily have that much energy to put them to the sword as much as 4-0. So I'm going to go for 2-0. But I do think, as Leigh said, I think there will be changes as well. But at the moment, we don't have that much in reserve. So I think, he might stick with maybe 8 or 9 of the team that play against City. So who knows? But a massive week to look forward to, and I just can't wait. I wish it was Tuesday right now. So thanks very much, guys. Once again, thank you to Matt, thank you to Leigh, thank you very much for you guys for watching and listening. Once again, this is the Thing I Love Most show. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the show. And hope you're enjoying it. So this is a Skype version of the show that we obviously do for the podcast form. Podcast form is available in all of the various outlets that you can get it on, as in like Spotify, iTunes, all of the alike. And then you can obviously see the show on YouTube. And then we have our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. TTILM show, or the Thing I Love thank you very much for watching. We'll be again next week with obviously an amazing review and a very, very victorious week. Fingers crossed, and come on, you Spurs.